Hey there, it's esquared photography. I'm Erin.
And I'm Emily, and we are here to keep things simple and fun.
Are you a photographer? Maybe you just started out, maybe you've been shooting a while, but you struggle with getting those crisp and tack sharp images. We're here to explain what could be causing the issue and hopefully give you some helpful tips to take away.
And make sure to stay all the way till the end because we have something special just for you.
We promise by the end of this video, your images are gonna go from blurry to tack sharp with these helpful tips.
And for the best photography tips and tricks, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications for future videos.
Okay, let's dive right in. We all want those tack sharp images. And what do we mean by that? We want those images that are eyelash crisp, and that is what we all want. You want to be able to see those eyelashes when you zoom into that photo and have it be nice and crisp.
So let's go first into the first thing we want to talk about is where to focus, because that is sometimes kind of confusing. So let's talk about where we would focus in different situations. So if you look at this image here of Abby, this is one person. When you're photographing one person, you're going to focus on the eye that is closest to the camera.
When you're photographing two people, you'll want to focus on the person that's closest to the camera, and again, the eye that is closest to you on that person that's closest to the camera.
Now, ideally, when you're photographing a group of people, having them on the same plane is really helpful for getting those crisp images. So as you can see, the straight line, how these girls in this picture, these bridesmaids, all have their feet in a straight line. That really helps get those crisp images. So if you can ever do that, do that.
It is a natural tendency for people when they're taking a group photo to curve out at the edges, but we really want to stress that you're lining your toes up exactly like this.
So if you have one row like this here, you're always going to focus on the middle person. Their eyes, their face, focus on that middle person.
So what happens when now you add a second row of people? You're going to adjust some things in your camera settings. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when you have two rows of people, you're going to choose to focus on the person that is in the front and in the center of the front.
If you ever have such a large group that you need to have 3 rows, you're gonna focus on the middle row center person.
So now let's dive into some other things that could be causing you to get blurry photos and that are gonna help get you those eyelash crisp photos that you want. One of the things is your shutter speed. So your shutter speed needs to be fast, at least fast enough to keep up with what you're working with. So our rule of thumb with shutter speed is that your shutter speed should be double the length of your lens or more. For example, if you are shooting with a 50mm lens, double of 50 would be 100. So what do we mean by 100? It should mean that your shutter speed needs to be at least 1/100, if not higher. If you're shooting with a 100mm lens, it should be 1/200 or higher. So that's our general rule of thumb. So something to pay attention to because this could be causing you to get those blurry images.
Another really simple one that could be causing things is just make sure to keep steady, or if you have image stabilization, turn that on your lens.
Make sure the focus clicks in before you actually shoot the photo.
One other thing that has happened to us because we bump our camera or when we're putting it in our camera bag, something happens, is our camera, either our camera body or our lens, gets switched to manual focus. And you don't want to be in manual focus. You want to make sure you're clicked in autofocus. And that could be causing blurry images because you have one of those set to manual on accident.
Comment below right now and tell us what we've talked about so far that could potentially be causing your images to be blurry or just not as sharp as you'd want them to be.
Okay, so if you understand manual mode, if you don't, we really encourage you to dive deep into manual mode. But one thing that can really be harming the sharpness of your photos is what f-stop or aperture you have your camera set to. So when you have a larger group like the one you see here, more people, a higher f-stop number will make room for less blurry photos.
Especially if you start adding more rows of people, that's when you really need to start bumping up your aperture or your f-stop number. If you're dealing with one person, it's not as big of an issue. Something that we've noticed is some people mistake that grainy noise look in your photos and your images for a blurry photo, when reality is it's probably a pretty crisp photo. It's just that you shot at a very high ISO. So if you can find better lighting in that situation and adjust your ISO so it's lower, that would be better.
And the last tip we have for you is just to make sure your lens is clean, because it could be as simple as that.
If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and like it so we know to make more videos just like this one.
And like we said, we have something just for you. So if you haven't dove into manual mode yet and you want to learn more about it, we have a free guide just for you in the description below. So make sure to click that link and then you can have your hands on a free guide that's going to walk you through it and simplify it for you right away.
You can find even more videos and more tips if you follow along with us on Instagram at esquared.photography. It's also the best place to DM us and ask us a question or concern that you might have regarding your photography. That is the quickest response that you will get from us, and we love hearing from you.
In addition to this free guide, stay tuned. In March, we are going to have a free workshop where we dive deep into manual mode. So stay tuned for that so you can find more tips and really walk you through how to simplify manual mode. Thank you so much for following along, and we will see you next time.